got the Lions and the Commanders, which, to be honest, I know that it's been 2 weeks, and I know we've said the same. I've said the same thing about the Lions, at least. But both teams today impressed me for the most part. The Lions, Amon St. Brown looks like he could be a top 10 wide receiver by the end of the year. D Swift has been fantastic. Jared Goff played really well. Their defense made some big plays. Really impressed with how the Lions looked. And then on the Commander side, wasn't super sold on Carson Wentz to the Commanders. I was like, well, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is one of those guys who, when he's hot, he's amazing. Yeah. And when he's bad, it's bad. It's really bad. So Carson Wentz has played really well through the first 2 games. Had his game competitive. My biggest complaint, if I'm going to poke any holes, it's really just the Commanders' defense. The Defenders' defense with Chase Young should be a lot better. When he first came into the league, they were really solid. And ever since, they've been taking a step back. That's really my only complaint. Other than that, Lions played fantastic. And the Commanders, I'm higher on than I was before the game.
The Commanders' defense, I'm not too worried about because we saw the Eagles lock down the Minnesota Vikings yesterday. But you know who they didn't lock down? The Detroit Lions. I mean, they held the Vikings to 7 points on Monday Night Football. Primetime game. This is where Justin Jefferson is supposed to be showing up and showing out. Darius Slay went up to him and said, "You're in handcuffs. You're mine now. You're not getting open at all." He could have done that to Amon St. Brown. But instead,
trust me, when we get to that Vikings game, we got a lot to talk about.
We do. But the Lions put up 36 points. They're now averaging 35.5 points a game. Jared Goff is playing like Jared Goff. He's playing like the number 1 overall pick he should be. And I think this game is exactly why Goff was taken number 1 and why Carson Wentz was taken number 2 in that draft. I feel like Goff was a lot more accurate. He was a lot more decisive with his throws. He had 4 touchdowns. Carson Wentz had the costly pick. That was probably the difference in this game. And then he also threw 3 touchdowns. So I think overall, I'm impressed with both these teams. And I wasn't too down on the Commanders. My really biggest issue with them is the organization as a whole. And I don't know how well Ron Rivera and Carson Wentz are going to be as a fit. So I like the Lions. I do. Aiden Hutchinson, 3 sacks in this game.
Yeah.
And then Rodrigo last week was in the top 5 as far as graded rookies for Pro Football Focus. So if you can get that from your 6th round pick and then D Swift coming out of nowhere to make big plays, I feel like the Lions are going to keep rolling. And I feel like the football team or the Commanders now, still we went from, the other team to the football team to the Commanders. Got to get used to that. But overall, I think both these teams are trending up. And Commanders going to be competitive, and I think the Lions are going to surprise a lot of people.
One thing I do want to shout out, when the Commanders drafted Jahan Dotson, I wasn't super high. I'm like, this guy might be a bust. To the first 2 games that I've seen, he looks pretty good. I'm pretty impressed with what I've seen from Jahan Dotson. As of right now, he's being out-targeted. Well, he's out-targeting Terry McLaurin. So I think that's noteworthy.
You know who I haven't been impressed with?